We're at the IAS meeting. We're here with Carl Dieffenbach from NIAID, and we appreciate your taking the time again to speak to the vast history that we've got behind us and where we need to go in the future.
It's really interesting to come back to Paris for the third time for the International AIDS Society meeting. And this is now 2017, and the progress that we've made to date has been phenomenal. If you think back to the very first meeting, we were just in the process of defining what HIV was. In 2003, we were just starting to implement the Durban Declaration. And now today we have PEPFAR, and the treatment gap is significantly reduced.
The challenges, I think, for governments is to understand the science. And I think it's imperative for all of us activists to get with you and meet. And we have this collection of people that's massive in this meeting. Even though it's the middle meeting, it's kind of a more of a scientific meeting. But it's so important to profess the science that we know, to learn what we learn from each of the presenters, and then assemble it and put it out as the message that needs to be driven home, that we need to really get the money behind the science and make it all work.
Well, I think the important message from this meeting is the power of scientific opportunity and the power of scientific innovation and what that can bring us, and create a vision for where we can go in the future. And if you think about what has happened over the last couple of years, we've completed the HPTN 052 study that showed treatment is prevention, and that with complete durable suppression, you are, and you're durably virologically suppressed, you will not transmit the virus to your partner. We've developed the broad neutralizing monoclonals to where they're moving forward as tests of concept in both treatment, prevention, and cure. So there's this continual rapid pace of progress as you're indicating, but it's about continuing to have that scientific innovation, and that's where government has a responsibility, is to continue to drive forward and not stop, but to continue to give us better tools that then need to be implemented and used globally.
I think so many people don't understand the concept of science. They think that when you arrive at an answer, it is a finite and finiate. It isn't. We can still refine it and maybe learn something new. And I even recircle the wagons, because sometimes what we learned before, we thought, well, wait a minute, we now know this, so this might work.
Well, what we have to think about this is, because once a question is answered, it's like closing a door, but another one opens, because it gives you a window to the next step.
Or 20 more open.
Or 20 more open, exactly. And I think that that's where we have to keep in mind is, yes, what did we know first? First, we knew there was a virus called HIV. We can thank the discoverers here in Paris in the United States for that. Then we learned the cellular receptor was CD4, but that wasn't all the story. Then there was the co-receptor. And then from the co-receptor there are two co-receptors, CCR5 and CXCR4, and so forth and so on. We make drugs against both, and it's this continual doors opening, doors closing. But you get to a point of set of facts, and you build upon those.
We had a meeting last night that talked about the vaccines and so forth, and how they were so disappointing in the past. But we only knew so much back then, so we could only understand the science of the vaccination at that point. Now it seems like there's more energy behind the vaccines as well.
Well, there is, and what we had was in many ways a breakthrough. A modest effect that we saw for a vaccine called RV144. We have literally spent almost 8 years, full years, gearing up to repeat that experiment to a point where we have improved the RV144 vaccine and are testing the next generation of that in people here around the globe, mainly in sub-Saharan Africa, in a trial called 702. So that's pretty impressive. But we know we think we have a good understanding of why that vaccine worked, and now we can test that.
And you can learn from that. But I think the big energy behind this work that we do in getting the messages out in this program is to let the people have the hope. And I think sometimes we give the appearance that we're disappointed in a trial. It's just a matter of, we now learned what doesn't work. Now we have to learn from that where we can go, like you said, opening maybe 20 more doors.
Right.
So I think you're telling the folks from the government side of it that they should have hope because you have hope. I think you're understanding the science much more better than many of our audience.
Well, we have to, we were headed of several meetings around the vaccine this week, and somebody made the point, a very cogent point, that there are no vaccine failures. While the vaccine may not work, we always learn something, even from the vaccines that appear not to work. They tell us things about, even if you learn something, like we won't do that again, it's an important lesson.
Right, right. So, where do you go from here? What are your goals for yourself?
Let's. Where are we with prevention? We have pre-exposure prophylaxis with tenofovir FTC. It's one pill once a day. It's great if you take it. So, to me, the next step forward are longer-acting prevention strategies, so you can reduce the burden of adherence. And I think that's true for therapy as well. So one pill once a day is wonderful, but can we get to injectables or implantables for treatment and prevention that would last 3 months, 6 months, potentially a year? And then we have another range of game changers. Because you think about therapy, when therapy started, it was a handful of 20 pills. We're down to one pill once a day. The next is an injection or an implant that would last a significant period of time. That's what the revolution in science is about.
I think many of us, like myself, are already taking cardiovascular pills, and we don't really care about another pill. But those that are younger people who didn't go through, and even for us, I'd rather not be reminded I have HIV every day of the year, which is great if you have an infusible or injectable. But certainly for the younger people, it would be if I had that back in early days, to only have an injection every month or two, that would be fabulous. You could live a normal life. You're not already taking pills, but if you're, you're new in the HIV realm, you need to now have something that is much more efficient, much more effective, and less burdensome.
One of the points I'd really like to encourage your listeners and watchers to take advantage of is, if you are HIV positive, get on therapy as soon as you are able, simply because it is the best thing you can do for your health. We know that from clinical studies. Every day that you stay off therapy, your body is continually being slightly damaged by replication of this virus inside of you. You may not feel it, but it's there. Right. And so do something for yourself, get on therapy, get to a point where you're undetectable, and then your life will be better because you can resume a normal, healthy sex life at that point without fear.
So many people today are not being tested because they fear that they are positive and they don't want to confirm it. And that is crazy.
Yes, they should actually embrace
the opportunity.
Because living with fear and stigma is so much worse than knowing with the knowledge and that you are then empowered to do something about it.
And like the treatments today are way different than when I first started treatment.
Oh, they are. Integrated speech therapy is a really great thing.
Yeah. I know when I had to do the injections of Fusion, that was burdensome, but I still didn't mind doing it because it was really good treatment. But now, even today, we've got now once-a-day pills, so it's really easy. So we appreciate those advances in treatment, and it came over 30 years now.
Yes.
But so what do you see for a future? You see the vaccines? You see?
I see. So we are in a golden age of prevention research right now. We have vaccines moving forward. We have injectables moving forward. And we have the vaginal ring that has gone to licensure. So when we complete the next couple of years, we will have a new suite of prevention tools, which will really help us drive incidence way down.
Because that's starting to show already.
Well, it is, and that's because that's from the power of treatment as prevention. But treatment as prevention plus additional prevention tools will really help us to push the epidemic further into remission.
Great. Well, we appreciate you taking the time, and I understand that you have other things to do right now, so I'll let you be on your way.
It's a pleasure.
Thank
Always
you very much.
good to see you, Fred.
Yeah.